Okay then, this Plymouth has been sitting around for a couple of years, and I did an oil change on it when I first bought it 2 years ago. So even though it's not been driven very much, the oil needs to be changed in it. So thought I would use this opportunity to illustrate how to save some money doing an oil change while still getting products that are of good quality. So what I was doing is I was looking around on the internet and doing some research into house brand oil, which means is motor oil that the store has their name on it, and house brand oil filters, to see if I could find somewhere that had good filters and good oil but at a reasonable price. So I did, and what I've came up with is I went to my local CarQuest Auto Parts. And I don't normally use CarQuest because, like I said, they are here in town, but they're not conveniently located. I have to go across town to get to them. The other places like AutoZone and O'Reilly and Advance are just right over across the parkway. But anyway, picked up some oil in the filter, and I'll show you what I got and why I got it. The first thing I did is, this oil is their house brand oil. I've taped over the name because YouTube does not like brand names being shown. And this is 10W40 all season oil. It's not synthetic. It's not any of that. It's not any of that rip-off high mileage stuff or partial synthetic or for foreign vehicles, for this, that, and other. All that crap people fall victim to buying. Don't buy that stuff. It's no point in it. It's just straight 1040 oil. It's just what this car takes. And I think this oil goes for $3.79 a quart. Now, the thing about oil is that there's not a place that makes there's not some plant somewhere offshore that makes just CarQuest oil or O'Reilly oil or, you know, some other store branded oil, because there's only a limited amount of large oil packagers. So even if you buy a house brand oil, a generic oil, or whatever you want to call it, it's going to come from some large refinery that makes other kinds of oil. And as it turns out, the same place that makes this oil also makes Valvoline oil. So it's essentially close to, if not the same thing as Valvoline all season oil. I think Valvoline calls it all climate or something like that. So I heard nothing but good things about this oil, no problems with it. So it's safe to say that it's a good oil. And if you buy a Valvoline, it runs about $5.99 a quart. So you are saving some money. And then over here we have our oil filter. Just a plain white oil filter. It does have the CarQuest logo on the side of it, but as it turns out, this filter is made by Wix. You all know the Wix filters, the black ones. I actually have one on this car now. I always like Wix filters, but it's made by Wix, and it's a good filter. The thing you have to remember, it says it's made to their specifications in the individual store, so it may not be exactly the same as a Wix branded filter, but it's pretty close. It's got a good heavy base plate on it. It's not one of those cheapo stamped base plates like the Champion Labs filter has. And so that filter was $3.69. If you buy a Wix, the same Wix filter, or the Wix that would go on this car, would be about $6.79. So you're saving $3 right there. So, and occasionally CarQuest, as I found out, runs a deal on oil and filter. If you buy their oil and their filter, 5 quarts oil and a filter, you get it for like $11, or at least they used to. So that's a smoking deal. So you need to watch out for that coming up. So I have no problems using this stuff. I've been using some kind of house brand oil and filter on that Mazda, and I've not had any problems with it. There may be occasions that I want to use a better, well, I don't want to say better, but just something that's got a different kind of oil. But I don't know. I don't think so. I think I'd be fine using those on any of my vehicles. So we may just switch on over to that. And that's the thing about oil filters. Discussing oil filters with guys that are in the cars is almost like discussing politics and religion. It's bound to provoke an argument, because everyone has a bad oil story and everyone has a bad oil filter story. Everybody has their favorites, and everybody has their dislikes, and ones they hate, ones they like, etc., etc., etc. We all know that. It's just the same old deal. And the reality is that there's not many cases where oil is to blame for something or the filter. Now, the filters can fail, but that's still pretty rare. The only thing I would strongly suggest is do not use a proven cheap filter like a orange can of death. And if you research that on the internet, you'll know which one I'm talking about without me having to say the name. Don't use one of those. But otherwise, you're pretty safe bet to use any of them that has a good base on them. But well, what I was saying though, I guess I started out trying to say it and I got sidetracked, was, you know, the thing about oil filters is there's not all these niche manufacturers that make only, let's say, Toyota filters or only Mazda filters or only Chrysler filters and things like that. If you're going with a, you know, an OEM type filter, if you like that kind of stuff, usually there's only, I don't know how many, at this point I don't know how many oil filter manufacturers there are extant now. Probably half a dozen, and they make filters for all kind of manufacturers. They make them, put different names on them. You know, Champion Labs may make a STP filter and a AC Delco filter and a Quaker State filter and a Pennzoil filter. Then, you know, Purolator may make Purolator filters. They make some Motorcraft filters. They make, you know, they may make other house brand filters. So, you know, it's a crapshoot. You need to do your research. If you're going to be stuck on using a particular kind of filter, make sure you're getting a good filter, a well-built filter. You know, some of these filters that, like AC Delco, used to be a very good filter, and now they've cheaped out, and most of them are made by Champion Labs. So they have the plastic internals in them and the little stamped steel base plate. So something to keep in mind. Oil filter research is very fascinating. I suggest it to do that. Do some if you're in your car, maintaining your car. You know, my brother, he uses a Mazda filter on his car because it's a Mazda, and he swears by it, and he's had good luck out of it. I can't argue with it, but Mazda don't make that filter. That's somebody else makes it. That's either, you know, Purolator or Wix or maybe Champion Labs is making them. You know, I hadn't looked at one, but, you know, if you see Mazda or Toyota on there, you know, don't fall for that. I mean, they're good filters probably, but don't think you're getting one that's made, especially at the Toyota factory by Toyota. No, that's not going to happen. It's not the way of it at all. So anyway, so yeah, and you tell people that, and if they don't want to hear that, they just kind of look off in the distance and kind of, I don't know. Well, do know, because I'm telling you the truth. So anyway, do your own research. If you're fascinated by this stuff like I am, do your own research and draw your own conclusions. So in the meantime, I'm going to get back on the old Slant 6 here and do an oil change, and I'm going to put a belt on it. The belt looks like it has been on there quite a long time, and it's all cracked up here and there. So see if I can, there you go. You want to see some crack? There it is. That ain't good. So we'll be doing that too. I'm sure this old car appreciates all this love it's getting. Love me! So you guys have a good one. Like, comment, subscribe, please. Bye.